The UN and Arab League Special Envoy Kofi Annan met with the Syrian Foreign Minister Walid Mualem. The goal? To keep the UN-brokered ceasefire plan on track, despite many questions about Syria's role in the Hula massacre and the ongoing violence across the country. The Syrian Deputy Foreign Minister said the meeting went well.
The most important thing to be mentioned is that Syria, during this time, has not committed a single violation of Annan's plan, nor the preliminary understanding signed between Syria and the United Nations. Meanwhile, the other side was not committed to the points of that understanding, which means that there was a decision to not implement Annan's plan, and there was a decision to abort it by the armed groups and the opposition who supports them, and by all the forces that fund and arm that opposition.
But the international community is still furious about what happened in Hula. On Tuesday, Australia expelled the Syrian chargé d'affaires and another diplomat in retaliation for the killing of more than 100 children, women, and men. Foreign Minister Bob Carr says he expects other countries to do the same thing.
Doing this, we're moving more or less with our friends around the world. I expect other countries to be doing this overnight, Australian time. This is the most effective way we've got of sending a message of revulsion at what has happened in Syria.
In Roston on Monday, the UN observer mission continued gathering evidence from survivors. People were angry. He says this woman was detained for 9 days, and these are residential homes which were taken under control by them. They even raised the Syrian flag on them. The observer's assessment, their presence is reassuring.
They need the observers in order to assure them of stability for their ordinary lives. So it's been quite a difficult meeting because the people are very, very emotional. There's a lot of things that have gone on here. Everybody has a story to tell of some suffering, some son lost or a brother detained. So now we're going to go on to Hawla, where there's a fear of another attack, which we hope will not happen.
And that fear clearly not erased with Kofi Annan's latest visit to Syria. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera.
Into the fact where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy. Bingo. Good afternoon. This is Nat Wood again, and as you probably know, at least my good friend Foghorn Leghorn, wherever you are, I'm hoping you called me in this week instead of ambushing me like you did last week. As you know, this is 30 frames a second. And it is my good fortune to have my partner and chief criminal Greg Lassitter on today. How you doing, brother?
Look, before we start, Nat, okay, I just want to go on the record and say this. Guys, before you call in, we're not anti-Semitic. We're not racist. So don't call here with that kind of garbage, okay? Because I remember last week, you know, Mr.
Leghorn, Foghorn Leghorn. But you can call because I want to address those things. But I'll worry about Foghorn later. Cause, but don't wait till the end of it and, you know, I say son, I say son, I say son. You know, call in, spit out what you got to say, and we'll address it because we have a lot of issues to address. And anyone who has actually seen this with an open mind and an open heart knows that you're confusing a reality-based show with a racist show.
And there's a big difference.
And there is a big difference. We deal with reality head-on and try to find ways to either circumvent the parameters or if we can't go through them. But we look for solutions to the problems. And we have many, many, many issues to address. That's why I opened up with the Syria thing. And it's not just because of things that are happening in the Middle East. It's because that there is now a renewed cry for more action in the military theater in the Middle East, which means billions and billions of dollars to a strapped economy, which affects us directly. But and we're going to talk about some of the issues that.
You know what? I've been called a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've never been called a racist.
The only reason why I wasn't called
anti-Semitic.
No, I was called anti-Semitic, and I don't know why, because I really don't talk a lot about the Jews.
But we're not talking bad about.
I don't even mention them.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
there's a difference. To be anti-Semitic, that means we would have to say something negative or have some ill will against a particular those Jews. We've never said anything that was ill will.
And for the record, anybody who knows me knows that I'm far too arrogant to be racist.
Both of us.
Right. That I don't spend a lot of time worrying about white people because I think I'm the bee's knees as it is. People who are not as arrogant as I am might, be these things, but I am purely focused on how we move from point A to point B.
Right.
If white folks happen to be in the way, then so be it. If black folks happen to be in the way, so be it. Whoever happens to be in the way, we deal with. If that's racist, then what the hell? I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Marissa Alexandra. Now to give you backstory, but let me just say, she was sentenced last Tuesday to 20 years.
Yeah, 20
jail.
years.
20 years. Now, that has something to do with the Florida's mandatory 10-year law of possessing a gun in certain violent crimes. Now, I'm trying to figure out, the judge, one, threw out the stand your ground law, which I don't understand. Two, those sentences were more towards thugs that are sticking up and robbing, raping, and harassing the community. That's what those laws are for. How is it that they just blanketly gave her 20 years?
Well, first of all, the community did not bring the wrath of God down on Florida in the way it did Trayvon Martin. Which is one of the immense problems that we have, is that we do not galvanize around the crux of issues as opposed to the glamorousness of an issue.
Right.
Trayvon Martin was a worldwide glamorous issue.
But
Trayvon is a symptom of a problem, and we have not addressed the problem.
It's a problem that is just didn't. That problem is not a new problem.
It's
a problem that's been in existence since before you and I were born.
Correct.
One,
we kind of thought it was over, or at least in the process of healing.
Right.
I didn't know that it was in the process of festering the way it was.
And the thing of it is, this is what I have a problem with our community. When I say our community, I'm speaking our black community.
Specifically the black community, the progressive community, but the black community.
When Trayvon Martin happened.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, it's down.
Right.
Nobody's saying anything about it.
Right.
And now, not because the trial isn't there, the trial hasn't happened yet. Like you said, let's hit Florida economically. Let's boycott Florida. Let's not buy any products of Florida from Florida. Let's not go to Disney World. Then Florida will take note that we are not joking around.
Right.
Now, my problem is, I posted on Facebook. We're on Facebook a lot. Guys, always remember, don't buy Florida products. Don't pay. You know what people would say? Why?
Well, people, and this strikes at the very heart of the issue. And the issue is, like I said, people do not act in their best interest. The conditions that created the Trayvon Martin situation and the Marissa Alexander
Those
situation,
are just two.
But that should never have occurred in the first place. We should never have allowed a stand your ground law to come into being in the first place.
Right.
It is our indifference and our complacency that allowed this to happen.
And that's what I don't get. Florida, I don't know, is it that and I'm not.
I wish it was just Florida.
Yeah,
I wish
but
it was
it's
just
not.
Florida.
But I'm saying the people that this is a state. This is not a federal. This is a state by state thing.
Right.
And that the people let this happen.
See, a lot of black people are very confused, and now I'm speaking specifically of black people because what I'm about to say directly relates to black people,
Right.
and it directly relates to the black middle class. Right. And the black middle class is not an economic class. The black middle class. Why is it so dry in here? I think I need water or something.
Right.
The black middle class actually relates to owning property and having college educations more than it does to a set income base.
Right.
Because if you use a set income base, the black middle class would be a lower middle class as compared to the white
average middle class.
Right.
But let me ask you, since the black middle class, did they just forget all about? Did they
but
not
see,
want?
this is my point. This is my point. There have always been. Well, no, hold up. Come around this way. Come around that camera.
Right.
And behind Greg. He's getting me some water, so I want to tell you. But the black middle, there's always been black people with money.
Right.
There's always been a couple of black people who had a couple of bucks in their pocket.
Right.
That's not specifically what I'm talking about. The creation of a black middle class, as we know it, is basically a phenomenon of the early 70s after the Civil Rights Movement.
Absolutely.
So
we're talking from like all the 70s.
All of the 70s.
Right.
So you have to, first of all, it is inconceivable to me that the black middle class, first of all, does not know the circumstances which created them in the first place, and so forgot it that it takes no responsibility for anything that's happening today, which is eradicated. But it is affecting them.
But they think that it doesn't affect them.
Because
but it does.
Correct, and that's just total apathy, total indifference, maybe too many Twinkies. Right. I don't know what it is, right. But that indifference is the reason why black people, the black middle class, have lost homes in record numbers.
Right.
Why we have stop and frisk laws in New York City.
Well, we go back to that, Nat. The stop and frisk laws. You would think, I see it. People are starting to talk about it now. And hopefully it's because of we're bringing it in the forefront.
It never would have went down in the 60s.
But in the 60s,
Ever.
70s.
All hell would have broke
21st
loose.
century, what happened?
They got the money and went home and watched flat screens.
But you know what? You know what? See,
we fought for opportunity,
right.
And once the opportunity was there, a lot of people, specifically those people who benefited
right.
from all of the hullabaloo of the Civil Rights Movement,
right.
sat on their proverbial asses.
Right.
And believed in and of themselves that it was because they work hard.
Right.
No,
it's not. Working hard has nothing to do with it.
Correct. Working hard is not going to make you middle class.
The middle class really thinks they're upper middle class.
Correct.
And they're
correct.
Not. And they think that because
correct.
it doesn't happen to them because they live in the upper middle class neighborhood that it can't happen to them.
Correct.
And that's a false sense of security.
Also, the black middle class is not a middle class of professionals.
Right.
It's mostly a middle class of government union workers.
Right.
It's a middle class
that's only the metropolitan cities.
Correct. It's a middle class born of hospital workers,
yep.
of police officers, of postal workers.
Yep. It's all government.
Right. Government-backed. Right.
Jobs.
For the most part, that is what created the middle class.
Right.
Also, it allowed for years and years, it allowed black people to buy homes. I was talking about my mother-in-law when they talk about poor people. It's the government's fault because they told everybody they could have a home and yada yada yada.
No,
but in point of fact, before Glass-Steagall was instituted, my mother-in-law worked at Metropolitan Hospital as a lab technician, not a college degree profession, and was able to buy a home in Queens in a nice upwardly right. She couldn't buy a Mercedes Benz, but she had a little Ford or a Chevy every year, and they had a very good life.
Do you think every American deserves a home?
I believe that every American. No,
I agree with you. I don't believe.
However,
you
I believe
every black American afford a home.
Afford a home or deserves a home.
Deserve a home.
Deserves. Yes, deserves, yes.
But in order to deserve, you got to be able to pay for it.
Again, remember what I'm saying. Okay. Before the banks were allowed to shoot craps with everybody's money, black people everybody who had a reasonable job went to a mortgage bank, took out a mortgage and paid that mortgage.
But hold on.
Wait a minute, hold up. Okay. After Glass-Steagall, and they talk about obesity is the #1 killer and healthcare costs and yada yada yada. Right. Listen, I went to a doctor to get an X-ray on my freaking knees. It cost me $1,000 just for him to tell me that what you need to do is stretch out the hamstring. And it took me more than one doctor. Right. Not everybody. They have since Mayor Giuliani was in power, and subsequently to that, Mayor Bloomberg was in power, rent has gone up so disproportionately.
Right. Well, that's only New York, though. That's New York.
But it shouldn't. No, California is bankrupt. The world is bankrupt. Europe is bankrupt, and it's all for the same reason. It's because the financial institutions, especially the real estate market, has taken advantage of every living person.
Okay, no, I got that. But where does we as a person stand up and go, you know what? If I make X number of dollars, I make $2,000 a month. That's gross, net, or whatever. I can't afford a $200,000 house.
I can afford a $2,000 house if that bastard at Citigroup. Wait a minute. That low-life bastard at Citigroup was not robbing everybody if it wasn't costing $2,000 a month for the same damn tenement house that it cost my grandmother paid $66 for 6 rooms.
But where does it come in that we need to take responsibility for ourselves?
We should have killed them before they did it.
No.
Yes. You can't explain that. You can't rob me. You can't spit on me and call it rain.
No, but here's the thing. How is it that I know? Okay, some banker.
All right, let's go. Calm down. We don't want the.
Some banker can't come to me and say, "Oh, Greg, you know what? I can put you in this house. You make $2,000 a month. I'm gonna put you in a variable, paying 6%." And the
issue was not the banker telling me anything about the house. The issue was about the banker being able to play craps with every single investor. No, it's not. This is the condition that manufactured a 5% default rate on the globe. This is the condition.
But they securitized all those loans. And they didn't have anything to back those.
No. What you're saying is BS, right? Yes. You're making this up. You're making this up. You're not dealing with reality.
No, the reality is this.
Lucy explain.
The reality is this. I come in, bankers come to me and say, okay, you can afford this house, and your note this year is going to be $1,200. You think you can afford it? Any bank. I don't
No.
Citibank.
Citibank is not a mortgage bank.
But they get mortgages.
Get out of here.
They get mortgages.
Because they changed the law to do this. And once they changed the law to do this, they changed the paradigm of the very existence of every single American.
But you don't believe that we as an individual play any part in what we can afford or what we can't afford? You're going to sit there and tell me?
Hell no. That's silly. That's silly. I didn't say Mr. White Man. It's a multinational corporation. It's Mr. White Man, Mr. Black Man, Mr. Indian Man, Mr. Asian Man.
We as individuals cannot take any responsibility for it. I don't believe I don't agree with you with that.
No, because individuals are not responsible for the rate of inflation.
No,
individuals. Wait a minute. Hold up. Individuals are not responsible for housing prices. Individuals are not responsible for the rate of inflation.
Right.
Individuals are not responsible for the damn global meltdown that came this close to happening in 2008. That was the financial services. Individuals are not responsible for credit defaults
paying our
swap.
mortgage.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. We're going in a circle.
Okay.
Individuals are not responsible for the credit default swap debacle. Individuals are not responsible for the skewing of reality that changed reality so much that you can't even afford to die. It's going to cost you millions of dollars to die in America.
But that just didn't happen. That's been going on.
No. That came about that it was in effect, but the death sentence was Clinton, President Clinton, in the dead of night, in his last year, signing over every single aspect to the financial services. If that had not occurred, we would not be facing a global meltdown.
But we would, as individuals, let's go to the individual level. Let's take it to a person level, Nat, where if someone came to you, Nat, and you didn't have own a home, and this was your opportunity to own a home. And you know that you're making $2,000 a month. Your note is going to be $900 for the first year. And you know damn well that you can't afford that house. $900 or $1,000 a month the first year is a variable. The next year, the note says, it can go from 5%.
It's not just a variable.
It is a variable.
No, it's not. It's not. You are overlooking a few basic things about living life. First of all, you come to me and you say, "Can I afford this?" I say, "Yes." Right. What I do not appreciate is not just the variable. It's the cost of raising the prices on humanity.
Right.
So wait a minute, hold up. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's tacked onto the index.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what's not tacked onto the variable?
What?
The fact that by leveraging everybody's money, 41, and no, what's not tacked on is the price of eggs going from $1 to $5.
Right.
What's not tacked on is the price of a suit going from $100 to $200 to $2,000.
Right.
What is not tacked on is the price of living that occurs when you continually raise the prices on everything. So not only has wait a minute, hold up. Not only have they skewed the cost of buying property, but they skewed the cost of living. What is not tacked on is the fact that when you go to the doctor, he's going to give you a bill of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and that has nothing to do with whether or not you own a home. So not only has the conditions of the variable changed based on what the bank wants or does not want, based on how many times they flip it, but also the price, the consequences of these things. And the consequences of these things is that they have single-handedly bankrupt the entire planet.
Right, I got that. But you're saying that individuals escape this altogether. We cannot.
The bankers are individuals.
No, I'm talking about us as individuals, where we know that we can't afford something and we decide to do it anyway. That's just like we don't have any responsibility.
I think our responsibility lies in the fact that we did not see what they were doing a mile away.
Okay,
I think the responsibility is the same responsibility that we have skewed away from in stop and frisk, in stand your ground, in voter ID. Wait a minute. Okay. I think that ignorance is destruction. It's not bliss. And we have allowed ourselves to be conveniently ignorant. As a result, the entire planet is in a state of default.
Which means that we are ultimately responsible for this happening. The bottom line is that. Because you know what? You're right. You say we do have a responsibility. We have a responsibility because we were ignorant. You said that. We have the responsibility of putting the same idiots in place that say they were going to do something for the community. Not only they didn't do it the first time, they still not doing it. We still put them back there. So it is our responsibility.
But that's not a responsibility of everyone owning a home. That's a responsibility of everyone doing their homework. That's a responsibility of taking nothing for granted. No. $500,000 in 1960 made you a rich man.
Right.
$500,000 today is barely worth
nothing.
Right. We actually have less control over that situation
than we did in the 70s.
Correct.
Why do you think that is?
Because we were more enamored with complacency.
Right. Okay.
Complacency.
That's good.
A lack of responsibility.
Right.
And
it's gotten worse.
Oh, it's
gotten a million times worse.
It's far more than worse. It's gotten to a point where I mean, we're in a downward spiral.
Right. But we got to stop. We're bleeding. We're bleeding, and we don't know how to
see,
stop the bleeding.
I'm of a mind. I'm of a mind that it's too late. That I have a demoralized army who does not believe that they can succeed, and the only thing that will begin to heal this is wildfire itself. That we need to produce an entirely different mindset, an entirely different generation.
But that's not going to happen.
You
think it's gonna happen?
Yeah. Well, gonna happen.
Man.
I don't worry about what's gonna happen. I worry about doing my job and doing my responsibility.
Right.
It is my responsibility to educate my children and my grandchildren, and as many as I can. It's my responsibility to plant seeds.
Right.
I don't know if a forest is gonna grow.
Right.
That's God's call. My call is I got a bag of seeds that need to be planted.
Right.
And that's the only thing I can do. Beyond that, it's in the hands of God. I do know that we have gotten so far behind the curve that people have become so mean-spirited, so hateful, so disempowered, so disemboweled.
Yeah. But you know what? That's people. That's just the people in general. That's worse for people of color.
Well, correct. Economically, it's worse. Educationally, it's worse. There's a lack of wanting to try within the community. It's just a demoralized effect. It's worse than not having
laziness?
something. No. It's
okay, but you
beatenness.
know what? But let me tell you something. The slaves were beaten down, but they still rised up.
They weren't slaves.
But they still rised up.
A slave can't rise up.
But you know what? We were beaten down in the 60s, but what happened? Right. So it's a mind thing. It's a mind thing, right? So.
You try to buy your freedom, but you never break the chains. Because the slave is not per diem. The master's in his brain.
But
those people who try to rise up are not slaves. They are enslaved. They are captives. You don't need chains for slaves.
Right. So
we are slaves.
But that's what you're saying.
We have become slaves.
Well, we've become slaves to things.
Whatever. You can be a slave to sex. You could be a slave to the TV. You could be a slave to
But I'm saying our whole community itself.
Milkshakes. Whatever it is that holds you in its grip and does not allow you to move either through fear or complacency, enslaves you.
I agree. But we have to break out of that. That's why we're
slaves can't break out.
No, it's a mind. Like you said, it's a mind.
Yeah, not everybody went with Harriet. Some people, no, I ain't living here. I got grits. I ain't living here going there with the dogs.
The sad part of it is, I look at things, we were talking about this earlier, things are a lot worse than they were in the 60s.
And people, but in the 60s, first of all, the thing that is worse is the fact that people don't know that they are slaves.
Right.
Like Harriet Tubman said, I freed thousands. I could have freed thousands more if they knew they were slaves.
Right.
The people now don't know they are slaves. The people don't realize that you can scream at Obama, beg beg Romney, beg anybody you want for jobs. Ain't no jobs coming, jobs is going.
Right. So you need to get out to be creative.
Hustling is going to be harder.
Right.
All the avenues that the civil rights movement created is gone.
Done.
And they're being revoked as we speak.
Done.
Every single one of them
right.
Are being revoked.
We talked about affirmative action. Affirmative action, people say, reparations, we talked about that.
Right.
It ain't happening.
Right.
I don't want anybody to give me anything.
Right.
Affirmative actions, I believe in to a point where if the playing field was equal, guess what? We wouldn't have affirmative
Correct.
action.
We wouldn't need it.
Right.
We wouldn't need it.
And
We wouldn't
people
need
say
it.
affirmative action doesn't work. Sure, it works.
You know,
It
right.
Works. It works.
Right.
You know, we have to have stuff like that. If you made the playing fields equal, it would be a whole
You
different
get a
world.
whole new pecking order. You
Right.
get a whole new
But that's
pecking
not the
order.
way the
You get a
world
whole
wants
new
it.
reality. The world would be better because you get the finest minds and the most
Right.
energetic spirits.
But you know what? That's not the way the game is played. That's the unfortunate part.
Then we have to change the paradigm.
Right.
The good thing about the game is that, as I have found, the rules are made by those people who are most influential.
Right.
One of the upsides, and in Wall Street, there's always an upside to volatility.
Right.
There's an upside to this. The upside to this is that the financial condition, global condition, has actually created in and of itself a more equal playing field.
Right.
That there's a lot of jobs that people got simply because of white privilege and institutionalized racism that no longer exists.
Right. Well, the whole old school thing is out the door.
Correct.
There's a very few left on the hill.
Correct.
And this is going to be a whole different ball game.
Correct.
But in order to be that new blood, you can't do the same things. You can't. Practice the same act. And that's what I worry about. We got the new blood practicing old stuff, just like stop and frisk law. I can't. There's nothing on the to see if we have a call.
The monitor, so I don't even know what's the calls are or anything like that.
Let me tell you, you got to change if you're gonna change, you got to change altogether. You can't have new blood. For instance, stop and frisk.
Well, no, I don't mean just new blood.
No, but I'm saying
I mean a whole
mindset. When I say new blood, you got a whole new mindset. You got to have a new mindset.
Right.
Stop and frisk law.
Which means we got to kill the old one.
Right, or they just need to die off.
You got to kill them.
You just need to
die
die off.
They ain't gonna die. They won't die. They just won't die.
But we had what was it? What was the numbers?
All right. If we got calls, just put them through.
700,000 New Yorkers was part of this.
Correct.
Now, 700,000 got stopped and frisked. Stop and frisk is that the police can roll up on you.
Right.
And just say.
Right. At any time, anywhere.
Right. Just because.
Right.
But,
and I don't believe that is ever legal or admissible.
No, it should be.
Right.
But our city council.
Our
city council.
How you doing?
Hi. Let's take the call. I'm sorry. Yeah, brother, you're on.
Oh, okay. Hotel. This brother Ayo.
All right. Hotel, brother.
Hey, I just want to say, I love the show. Shout out to all the producers.
What happened?
Oh, we lost the call.
Okay, guys, whoever called in, turn your television set all the way down too. You there?
Hello?
There?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on for a
Turn
minute.
your television all the way down.
I'm sorry.
And Sheila, pull the speakers down a little bit.
Okay, I was listening online. I'm sorry.
All right, go on.
I was just listening to you talk about boycotting Florida, and I was thinking the same thing maybe about a month ago about New York City. Why people never seem to talk about boycotting New York City.
That's
their
good.
economy depends a lot on African Americans.
Right.
Just
That's
tourists
exactly
all over the
right.
world.
Right.
And that stop and frisk thing is the one thing that keeps me from going back there. I'm from there, but I don't like the mood of the city right now, so I haven't been back in like maybe 5 years or so. And that's just one of the reasons. You can't go back to the old neighborhood and just hang out anymore, without being harassed.
Right.
So, I was just throwing that out there, but it's a good idea. I think maybe we should maybe spend our dollars a little bit more wisely and,
right.
That's
a good
just try
idea,
to. It's the situation you're talking about where people are kind of depressed. I feel that all over. It's almost like you don't know what to do.
Right.
You're kind of trapped, like you say, you're a slave. But anyway, I just wanted to say I enjoy your show and
thank you, brother.
Keep it up.
All right.
I watch it every week.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you,
Now,
brother.
you know what, Nat? He did bring up a good point. Instead of doing the stop and let's New Yorkers.
Right.
We got a lot to say on what happens to New Yorkers because New Yorkers watch us.
Right.
And maybe we should do that.
Right.
Why don't? Because our city council, the majority is of people of color.
Right.
And they are subject to stop and frisk just like we are.
Right. But they're totally worthless. We are going to have to take a far more active role in the development of the people.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah. Are you still on, brother?
Yeah. I got disconnected earlier.
All right.
First of all, brother, I want to say, man, I may have been born in Minnesota, sort of raised in New York City, but I'm an African. I'm not a minority. I'm not a person of color. I'm nothing like that.
Right.
You know, I'm not a person of color. So I guess when you're referring to you, you're referring to yourself. I'm an African.
All right,
you know,
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't mean that in any derogatory sense, and I appreciate you. I'm an African too, so don't don't even sweat that.
And as far as the bankers, as you guys were talking about the bankers, I love the way you broke it down. Both of you gentlemen, you broke it down very, very eloquently. But what I would like to say and add to that, as far as unity amongst blacks is not going to happen. We have violence in the healthcare system against us, the criminal system, the housing system. There should be a rent cap across the board for disabled, for the sick, for upper income, lower income, people who all can live in a nice, clean environment, but not dudes riding dirt bikes and gun violence. There was just a shooting. I think the dude is still in the hospital at Harlem Hospital. Just a shooting over here on 139th the other day before Memorial Day.
Right.
It's horrible. They had the whole block blocked off.
Right.
So this is what we're faced with. Our own reality is we're 90% likely to be killed or murdered by our own folks.
Right.
Hotel, reinstate automatics, and tell me what should we do? Peace.
All right, thanks, man. You can answer that one.
First of all, I go back to my original statement. First of all, I agree with him that we have become so complicit with our own enslavement, that we have become such slaves to our condition that we actually perpetuate the condition. We're in automatic. So we shoot each other, we rob each other for nickels and dimes in the richest city in the world, which in and of itself is the ultimate oxymoron. It's an aberration.
It just blows me away, right.
We have 2 million people in jail. We're killing each other for like any old stupid thing.
Because you stepped on my shoe.
Correct. And that is the byproduct of an enslaved mind.
But you know what? Things are reversed. We were never. We did a flip. You see what I'm saying? We had respect for one another.
But remember when I said I'm not a racist, but I'm a realist,
right?
And I plot my strategy based on the reality of the paradigm that exists, not some paradigm that I wish existed.
Right.
Well, this is the paradigm we exist. I look at the people around me, and for the most part, I see a demoralized people who have been beaten to a bloody pulp. I see people who have become so demoralized that they become complicit, even active participants in their own oppression.
Right. But didn't that happen in the 60s, and we got out of it?
Not to this, because there was a counterbalance. There was a counterbalance.
Right.
It is demoralized people who do nothing and demoralized people who are active participants in their own depression now.
Right.
In the 60s, and even prior to that, all throughout slavery, all throughout Jim Crow, there were people who were demoralized, but there were a large number of people who weren't having it and were focused on making a better world. We do not have the numbers, right? We don't have the numbers, right? We don't have the forward movement.
Even the upper middle class people don't care.
The upper middle class people are the biggest disappointment in the movement of them all.
Right.
Far more disappointing than poor people.
Because
they just sat by on their big asses
and let it happen.
Right.
And they don't care because it doesn't affect them.
Correct. But it does affect them. They've lost everything but the kitchen sink.
Right. But they still got that. The upper middle class, upper black middle class, still has that mentality.
But it's a lazy Negro mentality.
Right.
It's first of all, it's a mentality with no vision, because you need a vision.
Either. It has no substance.
Well, it has no substance, but it doesn't even. It doesn't even really care about the advancement of the generations, their own generations, their own children coming behind them.
Yeah, because
they don't even prepare for that. They just like throw some sneakers in the room and whip out a chicken,
chicken and a video game.
Right. But there seems to be
We failed. That's the bottom line. We failed.
Well, I think the most progressive people, the most forward-thinking people were held in abeyance for a large part, and a lot of people who were total ass buckets were allowed to succeed, and they believed, and they kept saying that their success hinged upon the fact that they went out there and did something that you didn't do.
Right. And
you know, well, they did do something I didn't do. You lost a fortune, you dumb son of a gun.
Do you believe that? Because one person did it, every person can do it. I agree with you. Not everybody can do it. And I used to believe that. When I was in my 20s, I'm like, if I could do that.
And you didn't do nothing. You got a government job. Not everybody can get a government job. But it's not because you were summa cum laude. You know, right. You weren't exceptional. You don't have exceptional skills. You don't have exceptional talent. You didn't study hard. No, I don't mean you personally. But I'm saying, you know, you work for the damn post office.
There's nothing wrong with working for the post office.
There's nothing wrong with anything. The wrong part comes in thinking that somehow the act that you were fortunate enough, blessed enough to get a job working in the government somehow made you more special than everybody else. Especially those people who couldn't get it. Is bull. It is bull. It is bull. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. As a result of this, and not only were you blessed to be able to get a job doing this sort of thing, you were so stupid that you did not use the blessing to enhance the advancement of those coming behind you, including your own children.
Call.
All right, call
through.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hello, this is James. I used to
hey, how you doing, brother?
Hello?
Hi,
yeah, I used to call in all the time and talk, but to the gentleman on your right. My thing is
Hey, James, how are you?
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about entitlement, but we all think we're entitled.
Right.
There is no entitlement, because I was reading up on the internet how they found that no one wants to do the jobs getting the lettuce. Nobody in those farm states, they can't get anybody to do those jobs. That's only because we've been teaching our kids that the work as a messenger, as a anything else, those are bad jobs. You're supposed to have a suit and a tie on, and then that job is good, or a doctor or a lawyer. And I'm saying that that's what's wrong with our society now. We don't look at the hard jobs that people do. We think that the easy jobs, because you get a diploma, that's supposed to say that you're supposed to get a good job because you got the diploma. That's not, they never said that. They said that the diploma is like a key to open the door. But it doesn't say that the door is going to be shot wide open just because you get a diploma. And
well, let me say this, because I have never mentioned the word job and I've never mentioned the word diploma. What I have mentioned is the word is dedication and excellence to what you do. I actually do not care what my children and grandchildren do. I hope that they are bold enough to follow their heart's desire, and I will support them. But I think if your heart's desire is music, you should learn music, and you should learn it to the best of your ability. That you should have a pride in what you do that is beyond monetary advancement. You may fail at what you're doing, but you should not fail in learning and striving to do what you want to do.
True.
In America, especially in urban America, we have had the advantage because of what has been laid down to be able to do things to advance our own selves. I'm not talking about diplomas. You can go through school all your life, be an asshole when you get there and an asshole when you leave. You could be in music all your life and know nothing about music, not diddly squat. That is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about, and I'm not even talking about which job is more honorable, because I don't think a job in and of itself adds or detracts from honor. I think there are honorable people, no matter what job there is. So you've never heard me use the word entitlement. You have never heard me use the word job, and you have never ever heard me say that one job is more important than another based upon some sort of wardrobe that people wear. No. What I have said constantly is that what we need is a level playing field so that people can achieve and fail by their own talent and fortitude.
But I didn't say, sir, that you said it.
No, he didn't say
what I'm saying is that when we're down, when I go downtown and I pass Zuccotti Square, and I passed it for a year, when they went down and I would ask them, would you take an $8 job? Because my job is $8.50 an hour. So when I asked one of those people down there, did they want to do a job? No. I ain't going to do no job for no $8.50 an hour. What that's doing to me is saying that you think that you're better because you can stand out here and bang on these drums, but I got to pay my rent. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that there's an expectation that was been put on young people that if I get this diploma is supposed to say somebody out there is supposed to give me a job for $40,000, and that's not the way it was.
And you know what, James? The funny thing is that I think that this generation has learned that just because you got a 4-year degree, guess what? You still got to go work.
And I'm going to tell you something, ain't going to be a whole lot of 850 jobs available in there. You know?
So that's a good deal. I mean, James, I definitely hear what you're saying. Because
that's what I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that it really used to piss me off because I'm getting up at 6 o'clock. I'm doing this because that's my self-esteem. I want to have a job. But I would never look down on, that job is not good enough. That job is not good enough. And then, when I see them, I try to ask questions, and everything is, don't you want to come down here and be part of the 99? I don't consider myself part of the 99 because I consider 75% of them people out there, when push comes to shove, they can call mama.
Right, exactly.
And they can go
That's
home.
what I thought, too.
They can do this. This is like the 60s and the 70s when I grew up right at the end of the Flower Children. All of that. This is just the second coming of the Flower Children, and it's not about the 99%. It's about being productive. If you're productive, that's all anybody can ask for you.
Right.
Have a nice day, John.
All right, brother.
You know what? It's true.
Yeah, if we got another call, because we're having teleprompter problems, so you're going to have to come out and give me hand signals, especially when it's time to rap. You're going to have to give me some sort of signal. But if there's another call, just put it through and I'll hear it.
Okay, put it through. But you know what? He's right. He's right. I look at, Occupy Wall Street. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah, you're on, brother.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah. Go on and talk.
Okay. I think one thing that would have to talk about is that we weren't able to be our true innocent selves before desegregation.
I hear what you're saying, and you have to turn your television all the way down so you don't get feedback, because that's what slows you down. You hear yourself.
Well, I think that we were true to ourselves. I think we were more true to ourselves.
But this is what I'm saying.
Wait. What'd you say?
Let me finish.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
What I mean by that is that because we are part of our true and authentic selves now, that we are aware that we're wounded. See, because what was said earlier, during the 60s, everything was okay. Our bond was love. Right. But what I'll contend is that our love was coercion. Because we weren't able to do things in other areas, we were forced to have to deal with each other. So it masqueraded itself as being that we had love for each other, when in fact we were forced to, buy from each other and deal with each other.
Right.
When desegregation was lifted, when segregation was lifted,
right,
it was like Genie was let out the box.
Wow.
Right. Well, you know what? Thank you for calling. You know what? He does have a point there, because when before when we had to rely on each other, we had no choice but to buy black.
But see, this is my point. You should not let a changing of the paradigm turn you into duty. But that's you. That's you. You telling me that all he has to do is flip the script and you are neutered.
No,
that's ridiculous. You are abrogating all authority to a person who is in direct competition with you. You are saying, well, he won't let me get a punch off. He's not going to let you get a punch off. I wouldn't let you get a punch off. What you're telling me is that because of desegregation, and I don't know if he was around during the 60s. Yeah, you got an open line. You got to hang it up. Yeah, hang it up. In point of fact, I remember the 60s. It wasn't all peace and love.
No,
they was fighting like cats and dogs. I mean, it was volatile. They were sicking dogs on children. Stokely Carmichael was not hollering no peace and love. He was hollering black power.
He shoot me, shoot you back.
Correct.
Right.
So there was always a lot of different emotions and a lot of different personalities that came to the fore. The only thing that they held in common was the need to advance and the need for change.
Right.
Not exclusively peace and love.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's what we don't have now.
Yeah.
We don't have that now. Everybody's individual. Do you think?
But I'm not.
No, I'm not either. But that's what we're seeing that.
But I could see everybody being individual if everybody were individual.
We're not.
But most people, especially the black middle class, are family people. Right. They're not individuals.
No, right.
You got your wife there.
Yeah,
that means
kids.
your mama-in-law is there. Your kids are there.
Right.
You can't think like a damn individual.
No.
You're not like an individual. If you wanted to be an individual, you should have stayed your behind in Brooklyn, put a condom on, and been an individual. The moment you took a family, you had to have a vision for your family.
But not only have a vision for your family, you need to show your family that this is the way. This is what I had to deal with. You got a little
that comes from vision. First of all, it is natural to want more for your children and their children than you have.
Right.
To continue to advance.
You have to continue to advance. But we're not doing
Case in point. And this is why I say you've been bamboozled so bad, and you just won't just sit down and admit that this guy snookered your behind, and you don't know how to deal with it. So you come up with some little whiny stuff about, oh, we've been snookered, what is that going to do? Asher Levy, when my kids were small, they went to Asher Levy. My daughter was in some little intelligent class, and they put her in Asher Levy. And Asher Levy, by and large, is a Jewish grammar school, and it's an upward bound, upscale Jewish school. These kids are set to achieve in life for the most part.
Right.
You know, not everybody achieves, but for the most part, in high numbers, they're going to achieve.
Right.
And coming from Harlem, the first thing I noticed by sending my kids to Asher Levy, and I really didn't notice it until like the following year and the year after. And what I noticed is that on the first day of school, these kids who are set to rule the world, came to school on the first day of school in the same worn-out jeans that they wore last year.
Right.
And I looked at them who were primed and ready to be influential in the world. And then I looked at us. And we will spend the rent money. Right. Spend the rent money. We will do everything. We will concentrate on every outwardly appearance you could think of. We never focus on how they're doing in school.
Right.
We never focus on how they look.
Right.
You know,
academics.
this is the disconnect.
But
this is the disconnect.
It's still happening.
Correct. But you have to admit to it. And saying that well, in the 60s, we had segregation, so we had to love each other and stuff, and that's why we total buttholes now, is not doing it for me.
Right.
First of all, forget about the 60s.
Yes,
you have admitted that we have a problem right now, and we have to deal with the problem.
You're on the air, caller.
Yes, I would like to make a statement.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure, you're on.
You're on.
Yes, hi. A lot of us, especially from Harlem, that came from the 60s, have started to age out or move out.
Right.
And in the process, we did not groom our children to be involved and or become activists.
Right.
That's right.
And that still does not speak to the infusion of people who moved into our area, be they from Africa, South America, the Caribbean, or Europe, who do not identify with us, our plight, or our cause for justice and equality.
Right.
We still cannot seem to come together as a cultural group for empowerment. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Right.
She said it all right there.
Yes, but she was doing what I said in the beginning. She belays the problem. She belays the obvious, but she does not provide a solution.
Okay, let's give a solution.
And she also kind of skirted around the problem.
Hello?
Yeah, go on, caller. You're going.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I love your show. I just wanted to say, I understand what you're saying about a slave mentality, but really it's a refugee mentality. Okay. And a lot of African Americans, including myself, still feel like refugees. And the only way we're going to address that is to reconnect with Africa on a cultural level. The fastest growing economies in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa.
Correct.
Asia, India. So it's about accentuating the positive now, because we're about to come up. But the way we have to do it is that we need to reconnect with our roots. So all of the, I understand what you're saying about the negative aspects, but the reason that there's so many negative aspects is because the powers that be now are losing their grip and losing control and being supplanted by the so-called third world nations. This is a perfect opportunity for blacks, Latinos, brown people in general. But with the way we're going to have to do it is we're going to have to create a new economic base. And we have to bring Africa into America, and we can create that right in our own communities. But first and another thing we need to do is let go of those people that don't want to deal with us.
Right, that's exactly right.
Middle class and black middle class people that don't want to deal with us, and gravitate towards those people who want to reconnect with Africa, because that's the key. America's made up of groups. Right. Groups succeed in America. All that individualism sounds good, but the reason that a man can come from the Middle East and open up a stand in your community and make money is because somebody from another land is backing that.
All right, brother.
The Asians, same with the Chinese.
I'm gonna have to cut you short because we're running out of time.
Thank you,
I want you to know that what that brother has done, actually, he's put himself on the line that I am trying to do. And it's not whether or not everything he says is the way to go. Right. But he is actively looking for solutions as opposed to just belaying the problem. And that's the first step in solving a problem is first admitting that there's a problem and looking for a solution. For the problem. Right. If all you do is talk about the problem, the only thing you're cultivating is depression. I want to thank you so much for calling in. We have extraordinary callers. They come up with extraordinary ideas. We'll see you next Tuesday. Peace and love. This is Nat Wood and Greg Lassitter. We out. Woo!